Hi all. In this video, what I want to do is talk about adding text to pages and posts. Now you can see I'm in my dashboard, and one of the first things I want to do is I want to hover over here so I can right click on Visit Site, and I'm going to hit Open Link in New Tab, and you'll see once I do, I have the front end of my website here and the back end over here. Make that just a habit you do when you're working in your WordPress site so you can see your changes in real time. Now I'm going to go over to my front side and I'm going to pick either a page or post that I want to work on. So for me, I see this About Todd and I'm thinking, all right, my About section, this is a good place for me to start. I'm comfortable starting in this place. And I know this is a page, so I'm going to go back into my dashboard. I'm going to go to Pages and I'm going to find About Todd and I'm going to click Edit. Now, first things first, if I don't like the title of it, About Todd, I can change it. So I'm just going to highlight the text, and I'm going to change that to me, and I'm going to come over here and hit Update. And you can see page updated. So if I come over here and I just refresh this, you can see About Todd turns to About Me. Now, personally, I don't really like About Me, so I'm going to go back to About Todd, and I'm going to hit Update. And if I refresh this, you'll see that it updates as well. All right, so the next thing is I want to add some text. So on mine, I have this Start Writing or Type right here in this box, in this text box, right? So in WordPress, these are called tiles. These are Gutenberg tiles. And the second thing I want to say is before I start adding text to my WordPress page, I have all my text laid out here in a Microsoft Word document because for me, it's much easier for me to copy and paste from a Word document because I have all the different editing tools in Microsoft Word compared to WordPress. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to just click or copy background because I want this to be a page setting. And you'll see it says background. Now I can keep typing in this box, but it's going to keep the same box. It's not going to advance to a different tile. Now, I have a bit of experience and I've come to realize that if I have separate tiles for each piece of text that I add, it's a little bit easier for me to work with when I want to format the text. So in order for me to get a new box or new tile, depending on what you want to call it, just hit your Enter or Return key and you get a new one right here. And so I'm going to come back to my Word doc and I'm going to copy all this information and I'm going to put it there and I'm going to come to the end. I'm going to hit the return key again. It might be enter on your keyboard. I'm going to do the same thing with research interest and move my cursor to the end, hit enter one more time, and I'm going to come down here and I'm going to grab that last paragraph and I'm going to paste it. And I have all this set up in different tiles. See, there's a tile, there's a tile, there's a tile. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit update. And it's updated. And I'm just going to check that it's there on the front end. And there it is. All right, so I have all that information. And what I want you to do at this point in time is I want you to pause the video and enter your text into one of the pages or post. When you're done, hit play and we'll start looking at some more features. Okay, at this point you see I have my About Todd, I have the background, the text, another research interest, and some more text. So one thing you can do in WordPress is you can use the heading features to kind of stylize this a little bit more. So for example, I want my background to be a heading. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually come in here and I'm just going to highlight it and I'm going to click the paragraph button. What that's going to do is it allows me to change that text into something else. All right, I have heading, quote, list, pre-formatted, and verse. We are going to look at today the heading right now and then the quote. So the heading is, if you click it, it gives you different options to size it. Now you can see up here it says heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, heading 4. And you also have heading 1 through 6 over here. So one thing I like is I like to see the different sizes and I'm just clicking through it off to the right. And I kind of like heading 3. It seems like a good size. Heading 5 and 6 and even 4 a little small. I think heading 2 and heading 1 is a little big for my taste. but heading 3 fits me right there, and I like it. Now remember, it's your decision on the heading size. There is no right or wrong answer per se, but it's what looks stylized and comfortable to you on your page. To me, heading 3 works nicely. The other option you have is where do you want to align it? So right now you see that's aligned to the left. I could put it in the center or I could put it at the right. I'm not really a big fan of the right. I do think there are instances where it's appropriate. I don't think this is one of those instances, but the middle looks okay. I kind of like mine as the left. Now I have heading 3 here, and so I'm going to just cruise down here, and I'm like, okay, I want my research interest to also match that. So I'm going to come here, I'm going to choose my heading again, and I'm just going to click 3. Remember, it needs to be consistent. So if this is heading 3, this one should be headed 3 as well. All right. So once I have it where I want my headings, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to click update, and it updates it. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm just going to refresh it to make sure that it looks good over here. And I think it does. I do think about Todd is a little small and background's a little big. Maybe we can touch on that a little bit later. But that is how we go ahead and we adjust our headings. So what I want you to do at this point is go ahead, see where your text that could be headings, if you just have blocks of text in there, I would suggest adding a couple headings because it allows your reader to navigate the pages a little better. They're really like signs that say, hey, here's a topic and all this information falls under this topic. So go ahead, figure out where your headings are, and then stylize them, heading 2, 3, 4, whatever. And then if you don't have a heading, maybe think where you could put a heading and then pop one in there and you should be good to go. And then add your headings, hit update, and go forward. At this point, what I want you to do is pause the video and do all that work. When you get back, we'll talk about some of the different options. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the quote option. I really like the quote option when it is appropriate because it highlights the text in ways that headings just don't do. So let's get back into this. I'm going to use this as an example. So I like this sentence right here. Let's say I wanted to highlight this sentence. Before coming to UNC, Turner was a blah, 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 blah. Coming down here, professor before departing for UNC. So let's say that's where I wanted to have my quote. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit my enter or return key before it, and then that same key after it, and you can see that it actually makes it into different tiles when I do that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come here, and I'm going to choose this button, and I'm going to choose the quote option, and you can see that it puts a little black line in there. Your template or theme might be different, but mine puts a little black line in there and it accentuates it. I could even write a citation here if I wanted to add a caption, or maybe this is a quote from a piece of research or writing that I did and I want to put where it came from. I could put all that information right in there. I'm going to skip that because I just want to see what it's going to look like. So I have it all stylized up here. I'm just going to hit the update button. It's going to save. I'm going to come back here. I'm going to refresh it. And you can see right there, I actually have my before coming, and this is what it looks like in the quote version. So again, this is appropriate if there's specific text you want to highlight and really emphasize. So scan through yours and see that if you have something that you like, or just experiment with it. Now I'm going to hit Control Z, or excuse me, I'm going to just undo this by putting it back at a paragraph. And then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to hit delete because I want it all to be back in one tile, right? So delete, and it's all back in one tile. I'm going to hit update. I'm going to refresh and make sure that nothing happened. And it didn't. All right. So go ahead, pause the video, see if there's text in there that you really want to highlight using that quote tool. When you're ready, hit the play button and we'll resume. For the next option I want to share is the bulleted list option. So you can see that I have this little series right here, which is the name of some journals where I've published. And maybe instead of a series in a sentence, I want that to be a bulleted list. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, I'm going to throw a colon behind including, and then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit my enter or return key to start a new tile. Now when I do that, you can see the series is there. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to come up to the paragraph button. I'm going to choose my list because that's where the bullets live. And I choose the list and I see that through the first one in there. And now if I go to I could put a second item on my list and then the last one could be right there. Do double check your spacing and maybe you want to work on some of your where the thes are in the series. And so you can check that out and then when you're ready hit the update button. Whoops, wrong one. The update button and come here and you should be able to see the list where you put it. Mine's right there at the bottom. Alright, so that's the way to do that. Go ahead and see if there's a place you want to put a list in your WordPress page and from there we can go forward. So pause the video, check to see if there's anything else where you want to put a list and then hit play and we'll go forward. At this point, I just want us to talk about a few of the last kind of tools. I'm sure you've seen me click in here and this menu pops up. So let's just talk about this real quick. So if I'm in a tile that's a paragraph text, right? So this is considered paragraph text. What I can do is if I want a line to the left, that's where it is. I can put it into the middle or I can put it on the right. Again, there are certain times when moving it off the left margin to the middle or the right might be more appropriate. The next thing I could do is I can bold text. So maybe in addition I want bolded, I would just highlight the text. I could hit Command B or I could use the button. So Command B is my shortcut or the button. And bold and italicize or just italicize. So I have those options. Control-I is that shortcut. And then the last one is if I want to go ahead and I want to highlight some or hyperlink some text, excuse me. So I just highlight the text and I can click my chain button and put in whatever I want. So www.unc.edu and you'll actually see the link that shows up there and it'll be right there. If you click here to here, it should take you to the link. It does. That's a good thing. So if I have a link in here and I want to take that link out like I do here, I would just hover over it and I would come here and I would click the unlink button and it goes away. Now I'm just going to update this to make sure I save it how I want to. And it looks like I'm good. All right, I know this video was a little bit longer. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please let me know. Also, in the next video, we'll start looking at some additional options we can use in our pages and posts to further stylize them. All right, cheers.